Hi, this is Anthony, parent of IRS Medic. Now, if you're any familiar with social media, you know it's sort of a bad thing to dox someone. That is to display their personal information because they had an opinion, so that people go and harass them, send them angry letters. Sort of a nasty little thing to do. And John shared an article with me, and I'll get that up for you right now. Written by our good friend Helen Burggraf. Here it is, the name in shame list, where the U.S. government gives the list of the people who had the gall to renounce their citizenship. And here they are. So once again, I'll give it away to you, John. Here's the list out here. And what would you have to say about the United States government making sure they publish in the Federal Register all of those who have renounced? And a famous name I did see one year was Tina Turner on the list. I forget which year that was. So if you do renounce, the government publishes your information that you renounce. And so I guess somebody could get that list and then just send you, hey, what are you doing, you unpatriotic jerk? And we're going to find you. You're a cheat. So, all right, Keith, I'll start with you. What do you think of this list here? Isn't that something?
I have a lot of opinions on this, and I'll keep it very simple.
Okay.
And for me, it is absolutely abhorrent. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's a personal situation that's a choice that somebody makes. And to put somebody's name out there because they've decided to not be American anymore doesn't say anything. You don't know their circumstances. You don't know why they did it. And it just goes to me is this unusual or bizarre American phenomena that if you are renouncing your U.S. citizenship, you must be an evil individual or committing some type of nefarious activity. And I just don't subscribe to that. I just don't get it. I find it disgusting. What up?
Yeah, that's, I think, utterly disgusting. This is utterly disgusting. People who are
giving out statistics is okay, but personal,
right?
I don't know. No.
Why do we need to know? Now, this is what the U.S. government. This is not anything new, because what they used to do when the income tax was first enacted, and really only impacted the so-called rich, in 1913, 1914, they listed all the taxpayers. Henry Ford was on there. They listed all the taxpayers. Curious who didn't make the list, though. You're like, oh, wait, interesting. So it was really only certain types of income. And then the people who didn't make the list, they were private. So yeah, no, the government is all about sharing taxpayer information with everything. They want you to know. John, what do you think about all of this here?
Well, I think it's absolutely, it's indescribably disgusting. But what I did was, there's a lot of confusion about who should be on the list, and I did wrote a brief.
Oh yeah, you did.
About that. If you want to pull it up, it might be useful for people to understand what the basis is for people.
Which one was that?
I think it's summary. Yeah, summary.
Summary. Okay, great.
Yeah,
oh yeah, here it is. Yeah.
Okay, we don't have a lot of time today, so let me just take you through this. The 30,000-foot view, and maybe you can post the thing with a video. But there's so much confusion over this. One of the points is that, it's notoriously inaccurate, but that aside, the question is, well, who's supposed to be on it anyway? What triggers it? It doesn't include everybody who renounces or only cover expatriates. What about green card holders? What kind of green card holders? So I spent some time yesterday actually doing something that's almost unheard of in the popular discussion, namely read the statutes. Which nobody ever does. But if you want to just pull up a little bit, okay, I've got the summary up.
Yep.
Sorry, up the other way.
Yep.
Yeah. Just yeah. Okay. So up a little more. Just starting with the sorry, down. Okay, stop there. Okay. All right. Basically, what I wanted to do, and you're going to have to go up just a touch now again. Up, just a touch.
More.
Other way. Stop there. Just stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
All right, stop right there.
So the purpose of this brief post to explain the statutory basis and and what's the deal. Okay, so here are the points that I think people need to understand. Bottom line: all individuals renouncing or relinquishing, meaning whenever a CLN is issued. Now this is important: whether covered expatriates or not. are required to be included on the government name and shame list, okay? All individuals, if a CLN is issued, whether they renounce, whether they relinquish, whether they're a covered expatriate or not. So we see a lot of, discussion of, well, it's only covered expatriates. That is not true, okay? The second point I want to make is tremendous confusion over whether green card holders are to be on the list or not. The answer is that green card holders who are long-term residents are required to be on the list. Green card holders who are long-term residents, and that is without regard to whether they're a covered expatriate or not. Now, I will say to you that I do not believe that the content of the list over the years has accurately reflected those requirements. Now, where does all this come from? Well, it comes from 3 statutes, and I've listed the statutes: 6039G, 877, etc. And if we have time, if we get down and look at 6039G, we can parse the statute a little bit if you want, okay? But I think what's important is that people understand the basic point here, right? Everybody for whom a CLN is issued, whether renounced, relinquished, whether covered expatriate or not covered expatriate, okay, is required to be on the list. Long-term green card holders who are long-term residents are required to be on the list. But Section 6039G describes a lot of other reporting requirements, okay, including the Form 8854, etc. And I'd be happy to take you through that if you like. Or
I don't think we need to do that, but basically, so there, I think just saying there is a statutory basis for the name and shame list is the point.
There is. It's 6093G and 877E2.
And so I'll leave those and I'll put a link to those for people who want to go explore those on their own. So the thing is and this is sort of, I guess, if you think about it, and if you've been following this channel, this is actually kind of shocking, that there's actually a statutory basis for it. That it wasn't just some regulation they made up, which they love to do too, to create reporting requirements. We know they love to do that. So there's actually a statutory authority to it. So the question that must be asked is, why? Why does this need to be public record? I am trying to figure out the situation.
It's not even accurate. It's not even accurate.
Right. It's not even accurate. It's not even accurate. We know that. And I remember discussions and oh, by the way, CLN certificate of a loss of nationality. I just want to make that. When you said that the first time on a podcast, John, years ago, what's a CLN? And I was like, what's a CLN? Certificate of loss of nationality. That triggers sometimes scattered reporting, and it's just where I'm trying to think of a situation where it would be relevant for me to know who's on the list. I guess maybe if I want to market to them, right? Hey, you gave up your U.S. citizenship. Be careful out there. They still might be coming for you, and you might not have done it right. I guess for marketing, right? If you're a direct marketer, hey, this is a great list. They might need a whole bunch of things, and I know what they're going to be anxious about. As a marketer, it helps me, but as someone who I can't figure out who in America would need this information. Who Keith, can you think of one person who has a legitimate need for this? John, can you think of one person who has a legitimate need for this?
The only purpose of this is to embarrass people.
Right. It's like tar and feathering online. Yeah.
Yeah, except the tar and feathering worked the other way. It was on the revenuers who got it. But here, right, they figured it out. Like, whoa, here, wait. Instead of us being tarred and feathered, let's tar and feather our subjects, which definitely seems. And then, just surprisingly, though, they did have, they actually do have statutory authority for this. I do want to finish on this though, because I think this is the Form 8854. I want to get in this and finish on this, and hopefully you have time. And
tell people what 8854 is.
Yeah, so 8854 is the form, and this is sort of confusing. It's a form to certify that you're in compliance with the IRS, and that you, in order so they don't create you. This is typically what I tell people is, okay, if you don't file this form, they'll deem you to be a covered expatriate, which is something you don't want. because then the IRS will still claim you are you have a filing obligation just like anyone else. If you're a covered expat and you don't file, so that's what I tell people. And then John has parsed out some has distinguished sort of what it really means. John, I want to get your input on this, on sort of I think it's like a paradox a little bit. The 8854, if you fail to certify, and was it in this article you read? I've been reading so much lately.
Yeah, I'm happy to just take you through the nuts and bolts of it quickly and
Okay.
just a high level. Okay, so first of all, the Form 8854 is the final thing that people who expatriate would file with the IRS. The overall purpose of the form is to essentially tell the IRS you're a covered expatriate or you're not a covered expatriate. Okay. Now, the statutory mandating, okay, of the form itself comes from 6039G of the Internal Revenue Code that refers only to covered expatriates, which is interesting. On a statutory basis, it's only covered expatriates who are required to file. But so the question then becomes, and this is why I asked it in this way, why do all relinquishers have to file a Form 8854 if the statute applies only to covered expatriates?
There you go.
The reason is in the definition of what's a covered expatriate. You're a covered expatriate if you fail to certify, the 5 years of tax compliance, right? And what the IRS has done on this is interesting, is they have made the Form 8854 the place where you certify the tax compliance, right? So for everybody, okay, they need to file at least according to the IRS, I'm not sure this is true, but but it is understood to mean that you have to file the 8854 in order to certify 5 years of compliance. Okay. And that is something that comes basically from, the IRS Notice 2085 and a general rulemaking authority. And what that does is it bootstraps everybody, whether covered expatriate or not, into the Form 8854 requirement. Okay. Just to add to something you did say, though, I think it's important for you to understand that from the expatriation date, which is the date of renunciation, or in the case of the green card holder, the day they hand in the green card, they have no further U.S. tax obligations from that point on, whether they file the 8854 or not. In the prior law, they had to file the 8854, but no more. But this doesn't, but the point is, if they don't file the 8854, then they're a covered expatriate and subject to the exit tax, right? Which is a big problem. So in any case, probably shouldn't say any more about it because I feel like I'm right on the brink if I say one more thing.
I hear you. Yeah, John's up in the far reaches of Canada. It's negative
Right.
50 wherever he is, and he's got an iffy internet connection. So yeah, we've been talking a lot about this, and so that's the thing. It's this. Here's the paradox that the Section 6039G meant to it only applies to covered expats, but yet the form applies to everybody, and that's
Right.
sort of.
And I think we could do another podcast on the 8854 because I have a number of different scenarios that I
Let's do that.
deal
You know
with.
what? Well, you know what? That'd be a great one for next week. Let's put
Yeah.
that down a list. An update on that is fantastic. I've done some before, but there's always more and more questions, and that's been a while. I think my last video on that might have been 4 or 5 years ago, which and certainly a lot of development from it. So I love that idea, Keith. I think that we should put that down there. All right, with that, guys, I think we have done an outstanding job, and really look forward to some of the comments that we have. We got to, again, we have so much brain power watching this channel, and it's just getting better. And before I go, I do really want to thank Keith and John. They reached out to me in June to say, "Hey, Anthony, let's go on a podcast again," and it was one of the greatest things. And I really, really appreciate you guys getting me back going again. And I've learned so much since we restarted in June, and I really think we're just on a totally different level. And as an attorney, as a tax attorney, from both of you, my understanding and I think my empathy for my clients has only vastly increased. And so, guys, I just, from the bottom of my heart, I truly, truly thank you for what you've done for this channel and done for me and done for everybody else. So thank you. With that, this is Anthony Parent for Keith Redmond and John Richardson. Thanks for watching.